Hi everyone. Today I'd like to talk about my 8 principles. As you can see as we're in my dojo, they're up on the wall. To us they're that important that the students are facing these all of the time. Just 8 words. I say my 8 principles, of course, they're not mine. They're 8 principles that are actually used in every martial art. So I personally train in karate, tai chi, iaido, judo. I've done a little bit of quite a few other martial arts. And the one thing that I found over the years, really, we've all got the same body. So there are certain ideas or certain principles that every technique must have in common. I'm going to go very briefly over these, and it is briefly. We spend a lifetime doing these. And each word is a doorway through which the student is expected to go and explore an entire world behind. So the words really are just reminders. But I want to give you an idea of what principles are and why and how we use them. Because it's a word that's bandied around a lot. When I say we have 8 principles, people always say, yeah, we have principles. But when I look, the principle is a technique. There's a difference. You know, a principle is something that is always there. It's like a truth. It's always there. You always find it. So when you look or examine your techniques in any martial art, you will find these 8 will be there. And if you're applying all 8, whatever you're doing, your technique should work. Well, that's my theory anyway. So let's just very briefly go through them. Feet. On a very basic level, we know that our feet need to be generally pointing in the direction of power. Our balance is very important, and most of us are unable to take our mind down into our feet and actually access the feet. One of the things I found, particularly doing Tai Chi, is I've virtually never found another martial artist, including in Tai Chi, that are able to actually root properly. It's rare. So actually accessing the feet really is a skill you've got to work on. So to get your feet pointing in the right direction, to be able to press with your feet against the floor directionally for energy, for power, to understand the points in the feet and the arches of the feet and how to use them against the floor. It's very important. Posture. Once we've got this pressure of the feet against the floor, this pressure will bring the body upright. When the body is brought upright, the bones or skeleton needs to be able to stand on itself. So the bones are piled up as such. And when this is done correctly, excess tension can be taken out of the body. All the time that the bones are wrong, there's tension in the muscles. And the body's constantly fighting itself. So we say the body has to be in agreement with itself. So once your bones are piled up correctly, then you can work on softening the soft tissue that hangs over the bones. When you get this, good posture means you get a free passage of energy. It means your health will improve immensely right from the start. And we know that when you twist one bit of your posture out, it warps another bit and so on. So very important in the medical side of martial arts training, posture. It allows free passage of energy. It allows you to breathe correctly. Our mind. We need to be able to make our mind bright. You know, we find that when our posture's wrong and our breathing's bad, our mind gets very dull. And of course our own will, our own discipline means that we don't make our mind as lively as we should. So when our posture's good, our breathing's good, we get more oxygen into the blood, more oxygen to the brain. The mind becomes much brighter, and then we need the willpower, the discipline to be able to focus it. And in the martial arts, particularly in terms of self-defense, and particularly in terms of life and death, we need the right kind of mindset. A mindset that is strong, powerful, aware, and focused. We know that if we don't have that, no matter how good your technique is, it doesn't work. Breathing, I've already said, very important. It's also the one thing that links the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. So through breathing, we can brighten the mind, we can make it more alert, we can improve our health through good breathing. If we breathe properly, we won't break our posture. We know if we chest breathe, we break the connection between upper and lower body. When we breathe correctly, we sink it down into our feet. Thus you get expressions like breathe from the hills. We also know that breathing is the one thing we can control with our mind, but also when we don't think about it, thankfully, we breathe anyway. That means that by controlling the breath, we can actually access the parasympathetic nervous system, which controls the things we normally don't have any control over, like the function of the internal organs and so on. As you can see, we can do a program on each of these. Internal system. A good basic knowledge of the internal system is important. It's very important because that gives us literally the breathing, the posture, the feet, is all contained within the internal system. And certainly the Chinese had a fantastic way of being able to teach and coach from an observational perspective. So it's worth looking at the internal system just in its basic format and understand how it works and how it works within the martial arts. Take it from me, from the years of study, it's well worth looking at. But we'll do that over a period of time. From a practical point of view. Power. How we get power through the body. And there are lots of different ways. The way we drive from the feet, the way we access the feet, drive from the feet, the way we spring in the legs, the way we vibrate or use the hips, the way we use the waist against the hips, the way we use the waist in different motions, the opening and closing of the chest and back, the way we use the spine, the way we use the head and so on. So again, another doorway that just takes years and years and years to explore. But power sourcing, very important. So many martial artists rely on one thing. You hear them talk about the hips, use the hips, or farjing, or shaking, or whatever. But actually, there are a lot of different ways that you can source energy and power through the body. We'll be covering that. The wedge. The wedge is something that, I invented the word wedge has been there many years. It just simply describes the idea of combining the feet, the posture, the mind, the breathing, the internal, the power. The wedge is a natural movement that actually will go straight through the opponent's techniques and strike, literally just wedging through. But also it describes a point, a distance from the body, a distance that we naturally protect anyway, and where our hands would naturally, ergonomically speaking, travel to. So if we were going to meet someone's energy, someone's force, if we were going to hit them, this is the point that we would want to touch the opponent. It's the best point for us. Bruce Lee, Jeet Kune Do, Jeet is the interception point. It's the same. But in the principle of the wedge, it's not just the interception point, it's the idea of wedging straight through to be able to get through to the opponent. Again, it takes a lot of study. A simple idea, but to actually be able to do it, not so easy. Spiral. When we talked about yin and yang, we talked about yin and yang being a spiral energy. Spiral is the most powerful force in the universe, maybe even is the force of the universe. So learning how to have interconnected or interrelating spirals through the body, how to be able to fire a straight line off of a spiral, how to be able to take a straight line down into a spiral. These are all part and parcel of what it is that we do. But these are the 8 principles, and I'd say just look at them carefully. We'll cover them over the next few programs. Thank you.